Hello, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the continuation of the Middle of the Pack Racing League at Spring into F4 Championship for 2024, sponsored by PT Actuator. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back after what has been our mid-season break and after the thrilling conclusion of what's the Street Fighters Cup in the first 4 rounds of the season. We're back now to kick off the second half of the season with round 5 of 8, and we are here still in Canada, but we made our way from Montreal all the way over to Bowmanville for the one and only Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Located in the Bowmanville region and the Durham region in particular, if you want to talk more stateside with regards to the Canadian regions, this circuit was Canada's second purpose-built road racing circuit. And indeed, spanning the best part of 2.45 miles, it is a circuit that's played host to practically every discipline of road racing machine, you can name it, on what is the American continent. Being a regular host to the likes of GT3 racing machines in the likes of the GT World Challenge America, and then also previously played host to the likes of Formula 500 and even Formula 1 machines, and a couple of corners named after legendary Formula 1 grades, is a circuit which at its core is all about confidence. The key theme of this circuit is the fact that its 10 corners are primarily made up of sweepers, and many of them with undulations which lead into or out of the corner, even over the corner apex. As our drivers get ready to go racing around here today, the key theme is going to be about carrying all that speed to late apex and being as late as you can on the brakes in order to be able to get to that late apex on the exit of the corner and roar your way out in towards the next one. But who's going to have the bravery in order to do so, and who's going to come away the winner to kick off what will be their second cup in absolutely sublime style? Well, that's what we're here to find out today. But as we welcome you all to this broadcast, we should point out that this is a post-round broadcast for your viewing pleasure. What does that mean in basics? Well, the racing for what is this round of the championship actually occurred as of what was last week, and that was back on none other than Wednesday the 15th of May 2024, but today is Monday the 20th of May 2024, and therefore we're looking at all the racing action that occurred last week, how we're bringing it to you as if it were live. This broadcast itself is live, and we're going to give you as close as possible to the raw live experience. And here in the commentary booth, we do not know what happens in the practice session that's currently ongoing, or indeed in qualifying, or in the races which we have on our schedule. And we're talking of our races, let's take you for our schedule for tonight. Times in British Summertime, that's BST, or Universal Coordinate Time +1, UTC +1. And as we can see, in just under 12 minutes time, we're going into our first of 2 races, both 20 minutes in duration. Sprint race number 1 will kick us off at 8:15, and then we'll make it away into race number 2, albeit not without our 2-minute warm-up break, and that race will be scheduled for approximately what will be 25 to 9. But as we get set, pleasant conditions here in Canada. The track temperature currently sitting at a rather lovely 20 degrees centigrade, and the ambient temperature sitting at 26 degrees centigrade, albeit a lot of cloud over the circuit, and therefore the circuit not picking up too much heat whatsoever. But let's give you a recap of the championship standings so far, and also that season so far. But of course, all of your race action being brought to you on 2 media platforms for your viewing pleasure. Firstly, on YouTube at TX141TX or Paul Walsh, and welcome to you guys and girls on YouTube, and also on Twitch at twitch.tv/TX141, and welcome to you guys and girls on Twitch. And I, as your commentator, Paul TX141 Walsh, will be bringing you all the racing action over the entirety of the season. But speaking of that season calendar, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. As we can see, with regards to that calendar, we're now into the second half, and we wrapped up the Street Fighters Cup with aplomb in was the hybrid street circuit of Montreal, quite fitting that natural transition from street circuits into road racing circuits, and that was back on the 1st of May. But the story was round number 1 at Long Beach in what was at the Californian City, as I stumble over my words there, indeed, when an absolute jaw-dropping race that kicked off the season. No wonder you're going to stumble over your words when you recall all the racing on the 10th of April, and was a triple header in the US of A, which was then followed up, of course, by the Chicago Street Circuit, having previously been developed on the iRacing platform, when that circuit then coming to life over the course of a collaboration between NASCAR and the streets of Chicago and iRacing on the 17th of April, and we carried on the theme of brilliant battling from Chicago to the Belle Isle Park Circuit in downtown Detroit, and then in the state of Michigan, as our drivers made the way around there on the 24th of April for then heading to Canada for the Montreal circuit. But now we head into the second half of the season, and the Road Racer Cup, of course, starting with Mosport, and well, it is from there we'll make our way back to the United States of America for a triple header to see out the season, with round number 6 being at the Indianapolis Grand Prix circuit on the 22nd of May, then to Sonoma, the California circuit near San Francisco on what will be the 29th of May, and we bring it all to a close while feature race finale, indeed all the rounds up to that point being sprint race rounds. Much like round number 4, it'll be a feature race finale for the second of our cups, and that'll be at the circuit of the Americas in the US state of Texas. And who will be doing the Texas two-step to victory in the overall Drivers' Championship and also the Road Racers Cup, and also what is the Teams Championship? Well, as we do say hello to Jason Landry in the YouTube chat, and hope you're doing well, Jason. Let's give you a recap of the championship standings and also how the Cup concluded in the Street Fighters Cup across all three of our classes. Of course, we have Pro, Prime, and Am championships being contested, as well as the wider Teams Championship. And as we can see, after 4 rounds and all results accounted for and all shooting verdicts accounted for as well. In the Pro class, firstly, Tanner Dibble leading the way of 334 points to 311 of both Jaden, Calloway, and Jason Landry. And the 00 driver DNA Motorsport's really now the one to beat all the way through to the very end. And can anybody find a way to stop Tanner Dibble from just charging off into the distance? Francois Schenk, meanwhile, keep your eyes out for him on 288 points in P4, in the fact that whilst he may not be up there inside the top 3, he has had a good run of form recently, and therefore you can imagine that he'll be looking to try and sneak his way back into that battle and open it up into a top 4 fight. When that size will get to Edwin Offred in P5 on 173 points, and outside of the top 5 there by the best part of what is 39 points is Mika Hendricks, followed by Jordan Butler, Milan Harris, and Logan McKenzie, and all 5 of our drivers there eager to try and get a bit closer to the top. If not, the best of the rest battle will be for P5, and it's an Offred who's in the hot seat. We then come to the Prime class, and here we can see in the overall championship, Samuel Bernardy leads the way out of our drivers on 320 points to the 287 of Julian Jones, a gap of 33 points. Bernardy, having finally found his form last time out of Montreal, really has now become the man to beat, with Jones in the early stages, of course, looking very strong, and the same for Adam J. Ballard. But the key thing here, it does seem as though now that Bernardy has found his form, he's able to start breaking away. But meanwhile, everyone else in the Prime class showing absolute glimmers of what is pace all the way through the first 4 rounds of the season. But can anybody find the consistency that Bernardy has been able to achieve? Outside the top 3 is Charles Holsey in P4 on 241 points, only 1 ahead of Fernando Takahashi, and the Brazilian driver who was hotly tipped on his return to race in the Middle Pack Racing League going into what was this championship. Well, he's up into P5 and looking to try and push towards the top 4 as soon as possible, but then he does have what is Joe Nagy, a further 10 points behind on 230, and Nagy right now, having started off strong in the first couple of rounds, starting to fall back a little bit outside the top 5, but then again, it may be an oscillation, perhaps he'll yo-yo his way back into the top 5 today. David Adeyemi, Kevin Clark, Matt Best, and David Turn complete your top 10 with what is there, the 4 drivers separated by only 15 points, and it's a further 2 to Nick Bader, having of course been promoted from the AM class to the Prime class for this season. And will Bader find himself very firmly established with the Prime class, but results have not come his way, nor has Lady Luck, and therefore you'll be hoping the 2 becoming twin today, and he's able to turn that frown upside down and make his way to the top 10. And to complete the standings, it's Aaron Lahr, Jermaine Warren, and Stacey Bertrand. And we keep our eyes on the Rockefeller Racing driver Bertrand, and the fact they've had no fortune so far this season. Indeed, all 4 rounds so far with some major bad luck, and spending a good amount of time in the pits during the races. And can Stacey have a better day today? We then come to the AM class, last but not least, in our Drivers' Championships, and here we can see that Jared Kelly is your leader. And we're going into Montreal. There was the big question, could anybody hold on to the championship lead for more than 1 round in this AM class that's continued to go back and forth? Indeed, it has been the most difficult to predict class over the course of the season because our drivers are so closely matched. Well, Jared Kelly proving that he is the one to be able to hold on. Indeed, now leading the championship after what is 2 back-to-back rounds, and on 249 points, creeping away from Carl Peterson, and the advantage there going Kelly's way, albeit Peterson coming on very strong at Montreal, and also the same at what was Belle Isle, and therefore you can imagine there is going to be that big question mark hanging over what will be at Kelly, with the fact that can he keep what is at Peterson at bay. Mark Senegal, meanwhile, sits in P3 on 217 points, ahead of Nick Yakubov, and Yakubov as well, looking to try and get back into the top 3 today, after the Sunday GT Turtles driver was able to steer clear. And then Jason Sealing completes your top 5 there, and while the 194-point driver only 6 ahead of Kirk Lane, with Aaron Beaver a further point behind. Roger Ganesh in P8 on 176 points, falling a little bit outside the top 7, but don't count him out, just had a bit of difficult form the Sunday GT Turtles driver, and it's Todd Miller and Glenn Bratton who complete your top 10. For the 125 points of Bratton, it's Bilbo DaCosta for what is at Bear Pope on 113. And Will DaCosta in that back and forth battle of Bratton to be inside the top 10. There's Braden Melling, Tim Chong, and Christopher Holliday who complete the championship standings. And as we come on to the Teams Championship, ITD West lead the way, but look how close it is at the very top. In the fact they are only ahead currently by the best part of 23 points over Sunday GT Turtles. Indeed, right now, the back and forth between these 2 teams was Sunday GT Turtles that led the first 3 rounds of the championship, but going into Montreal, it was going to be ITD West who would be finding that form of momentum and have moved into lead there and into today. With DNA Motorsports in P3 on 457 points, well, they're trying to break away from Slipstream Sloths, given the fact the combination of what is their Dibble and also also his teammate, both looking on strong here. And Butler, of course, being the second member of the team, who's not had the luck, perhaps, of Dibble, but still be hoping they can inch their way towards Sunday GT Turtles. And Slipstream Sloths, meanwhile, well, whilst their name may include the word sloth, I can tell you they are faster than a sloth. No doubt about it. Indeed, they really have been the force to be reckoned with, creeping ahead of Rockefeller Esports Red by the best part of 11 points, and now they'll be looking to hunt down the top 3. Rockefeller Esports Red, the first of which 4 Rockefeller Esports teams on the grid, ahead of Caboose Crew there. And then we can see Rockefeller Esports Green in P7 ahead of Bear Pope, with Rockefeller Esports Purple and Rockefeller Esports Orange completed the team's championship standings. So what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is just give you a reminder of your Cup Championship winners from Wednesday Street Fighters Cup. They have been confirmed as of these results, and a huge congratulations to, in the Pro Class, firstly, Tanner Dibble for DNA Motorsports, Samuel Bernardy in the 161 there for Rockefeller Esports Red, and that was in the Pram class, and in the AM class, the 255 of Jared Kelly, the privateer, and congratulations to all 3 other drivers on taking the first Cups of the season. And of course, they're going to be receiving what will be the $5 prize apiece for what will be taking that Cup. But can they make it 2 Cups out of 2 come the end of this season? Now we make our way to the Road Racer Cup. Well, we'll have to wait and see. But to kick off that Cup, of course, we have the one and only Grand Prix layout of the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, located near the town of Bowmanville in the Durham region of Ontario, Canada. And as our drivers get set to go racing around this circuit today, well, firstly, thank you to iRacing.com for their brilliant simulator and the track maps that are included within it. As we can see from the circuit map provided, this circuit consists of 10 corners and all about those sweepers as our drivers make the way around here. But the one thing a two-dimensional image does not do, it does not convey the gravitas of what is the elevation changes over the course of each and every corner. For as our drivers make their way across the start finish line, they head charging downhill into turn number 1 and off camber right-hander, which will see our drivers come down to the lowest point through the corner just as they make their way past the apex, and it's an uphill run in towards Clayton at turn number 2. And there as they go to Clayton corner, they're going to be making their way over a crest before they head into the left-hand corner, and therefore it's a blind braking zone, or indeed it's all about going as late as possible, but the car will naturally have a lot more momentum behind him, and therefore understeer is going to be an absolute concern through the off-camber left-hander. Then they'll make their way out to Clayton, up towards Quebec corner at turn number 3, and there it's a bit of a flatter corner, but the late apex takes an incredibly long time to find, and well, the aim of the game is going to be to brake as late as humanly possible in order to find it. But get it right, and you'll find your way charging downhill through the King of 4, and in towards the Sterling Moss corner at turn number 5, the double right-hand apex hairpin, named after the man himself who raced around here, and I do believe took the first ever Formula 500 win around this circuit, and the corner being named after him when it was redeveloped into a double apex section. And then as our drivers make their way out of the lowest speed corner on the circuit, then bow their way down the Mario Andretti straightaway all the way up towards turn number 8 and 9, and that of course will be the S's right into left there with a very gradual elevation change to slightly go uphill, now a more pronounced uphill section through turn number 10 at White's corner to complete a lap and do it all over again. Well, before we go racing, let's give you a quick reminder of those rules, and the rules are as follows: the fact that setups are fixed and they are provided ahead of each and every round of racing by the middle of the pack racing league with fuel loads restricted to 14 litres. In general, for the races, we'll see the races shall start for a standing grid start, as it's a tradition of this series, with each driver having one faster pair available in each race. A driver shall receive a drive-through penalty if they accumulate 15 or more instant points. Now, in terms of those grid orders, the race 1 grid shall be set based on the qualifying session. It's a closed qualifying session that has run already, so we won't be seeing the qualifying session, but all the drivers have had the opportunity to put in the laps and therefore set the grid. And then race number 2's grid shall be based on the results of the first race of the day, albeit with the top 10 positions being inverted, and therefore whoever finished 10th place in race number 1, they'll start on pole for race number 2. The winner of race number 1 starts P10 on the grid for race number 2, and those who finish the length and downwards, well, you guessed it, that's exactly where they start for the purposes of our second race of the day. But as we look back to circuit side, ladies and gents, but indeed we're not too far away from going and racing out, and the circuit has fallen silent here, and well, as we do just wait for it to transition over towards the gridding procedure, well, we do clear the screen there, and as we can see, that circuit looking absolutely beautiful with the countryside and the scenery. But as we do move forward to what will be the gridding procedure, we'll all drivers head into the grid, and this is how they'll line up for our first race of the day in round 5 of the Spring into F4 Championship for 2024, as sponsored by PT Actuator, brought to you by the Middle of the Pack Racing League. It's Jason Landry has taken a pole position for Sunday GT Turtles, joined on the front row by Carl Ranieri, the privateer. Two great friends and great rivals as well. Expect a battle between them in towards turn number 1. Kevin Clark, we starting on the grid in what will be P3, your Pro Am pole sitter, the privateer, and he's going to have the company of Tanner Dibble alongside the DNA Motorsports. David Addy starts P5, the privateer, ahead of Julian Jones for ITT West, and then we will have Edwin Offred starting P7, the privateer, ahead of fellow privateer Fernando Takahashi, and your top 10 being completed by the Prime Charles Halsey for Rockefeller Esports Green, and what will be Jordan Butler for DNA Motorsports. Matt Best starts P11 for Texas Speed Sim Racing ahead of Glenn Bratton, the AM pole sitter there. Congratulations to Glenn for his first ever pole position in the AM class across any middle of the pack racing league series, and what a great time to be able to achieve it as we go into what is the Road Racer Cup. And then we come on to row number 7. It'll be Mark Senegal for Sunday GT Turtles, who out-qualified MJ Ballard to the line there for Rockefeller Esports Purple. Rockefeller Esports Orange's Stacey Bertrand has their best qualifying performance of the season, starting P15 on the 8th row of the grid, joined by Nick Bader. And then we'll have Tim Chong starting P17 for Slipstream Slots ahead of Jermaine Moore on the privateer. Brandon Mellon takes P19 there, the privateer, ahead of Aaron Lahr to complete your top 20. Now Bill DaCosta P21 for Bear Pope ahead of Carl Peterson for Caboose Crew. Well out of sorts there in qualifying, no doubt about it. The lowest qualifying position he's taken all season by a significant margin. Jason C. Lynn starts P23, the privateer, ahead of Roger Ganesh for Sunday GT Turtles. And then Jared Kelly starts on the back of the grid. No lap time set there, ladies and gentlemen. And for Kelly, well, this is going to be a huge challenge, given the fact he was your Cup champion last time out in Montreal, and where he's given himself an absolute Goliath of a task to do if he wants to take victory here in the AM class of the first race of the day. With all the drivers in position, we are all ready to go. Landry on the left, Calloway on the right, and it is, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, going to be our first race of the day that goes lights out, and away we go as the drivers charge away off the line in this first 20-minute race. As they make the way on down, you can see there Ranieri immediately going defensive to cover off Kevin Clark as the prime driver gets a reasonable start. But as they make the way up towards what will be turn number 2, over the crest of the go, driver goes wide. That's Glenn Bratton who's taking the trip to the gravel. He'll bring the car back on gradually as they make the way on around here. A lovely start for Landry, and Dibble getting up to P3. David Addy meanwhile battling his way past Kevin Clark, looking to go around the outside, but Clark defending hard on the inside here as they make the way on around through Quebec Quarter. It's side by side as they go. Brilliant back-to-back action with these drivers right now as they make the way onwards down towards Mosport, but it's going to be Addy who gets back ahead there. 2 does not go into 1 through turn number 4 without a major lift and shift. But meanwhile, further behind, Mark Senegal has had a brilliant start, already up to what is P12 there, and as he makes his way through the corner. Well, meanwhile, Glenn Bratton having that misfortunate start. They've had to be towed to the pits off camera, and the same for Roger Ganesh. I don't know what's happened between the two of them, other than Glenn Bratton having that run wide out of the opening quarter, but it's all gone wrong for Bratton in the AM class after that pole position. But meanwhile, it's all going so very right for Senegal, as before him, he has got Jordan Butler right now trying to hold of Matt Best as they make the way in towards the S's. But as they come on through the right into those seats, Fernando Takahashi just holding on right now versus Butler, as Butler trying to make his way inside to outside, but Butler's going to force the door back open to the inside of White's corner. 2 wide they go. Oh my good lord, there's contact there, and it sends Butler to the wall, and will Butler losing the rear wing into the tyre barrier, and I think that car is going to be very shortly towed to the pits, and there's the confirmation. And what a nasty man there between the two drivers. I don't think there was any malice spent. Indeed, they both wanted the position that badly, and in the end it's all come up worse, as meanwhile Jermaine Warren goes spinning around, losing the grip on the rear right tyre coming out of the first corner, and will drama towards the end of the open lap. But meanwhile, after 1 lap of racing, it's Landry who leads ahead of Ranieri, followed by Dibble. That's your top 3 of pros, followed by your prime leader of David Addy, then it's Clark, then Jones, then Halsey, and then Onofre, P8 ahead of Best, and then your AM leader of Mark Senegal, P10. And right now that top 10 being followed up by Adam J. Ballard. As meanwhile, there's a run wide for it's Landry there, coming on through Moss corner, and Carl Ranieri goes on to lead this race. He makes his way on down the back straight, and well, a long hungry pack of cars are going to begin pursuit. But Landry now will know he's got to try and get his speed back up and get back into the tow as soon as possible. These cars heavily aerodynamic dependent, and whilst that wing may look very small in these cars, given the fact they weigh less than 500 kilograms, we imagine the amount of downforce that's going to be provided as a result. As we are further down the order, Jason Lynn battling with Carl Peterson and Jared Kelly here as it's becoming a freeway fight, and this is going to be for P4 in the AM class as Peterson and Lynn go side by side in towards the first part of the S's, and Lynn gets ahead on that inside to outside line as he makes the move count before they get to the apex of 9. Kelly meanwhile just watching on from behind here as we ride on board with the privateer, and of course your leading championship driver in the AM classes there is going to be Peterson to the inside of Lynn in towards turn 1. It's a late dive, but to be fair, you've got to go for it as Lynn all out of sorts. Kelly now looking for remove, but getting a bit too close too soon as they head in towards what is at Clayton Corner. Can Kelly go around the outside? No, he can't. You see the bump in the road there, unsettling the car as he tried to go for the cutback as they head in towards turn 3. That's the car pointing the wrong way, and I believe that was the car Fernando Takahashi pointing in the wrong direction coming out too. We can't quite tell what happened there. Takahashi, we'll try and get a replay of that if we can. There'll be technical limitations, we can't really get replays of iRacing replay files, and as our drivers make their way down in towards turn number 5. Well, right now Kelly absolutely glued to the rear of Lynn, but a little bit of understeer there over the brakes and on through the first of the 2 apexes. He's going to be absolutely planted to the rear of Lynn now as they make the way on down Marion straightway. But will he be able to look for the move here? He's going to think about it. He's going to be able to go around the outside, but he's got the gradual overspeed here as he makes his way alongside. To give you an idea of the speed he's carrying, in excess of 130 miles an hour now as they make the way in towards the S's. Too wide they go as they head down in towards what will be the dab of the brakes and a drop of a gear as they come through down to 5th gear, side by side all the way in, and in the end Kelly is going to get ahead, or is he? No, the car goes round. It looks like there was contact between the two of them there, a prang to the rear tyres and the front tyres of the cars respectively, and Kelly and Lynn both going around together there and letting the field go through, and that's disaster for both of them. But Kelly will get the place in, but not the way he envisioned it, as meanwhile Braden Mellin being passed by was Aaron Lart at the inside there into Clayton. But whilst we're looking at the batting further down the order, meanwhile further up the order, Tanner Dibble has taken the lead of this race over Carl Ranieri. That move being made down into what was Moss Corner on the previous lap off camera, and as the drivers make the way in the long serpentine in towards Moss once again, well, right now Nosetown, the DNA Motorsports driver, into the lead, which he left behind in Montreal, and here we're looking to try and make it another win here today as they power their way on down the back straight. Behind him, however, is your prime leader Adayi. He'll be very keen to try and follow in the footsteps of other drivers in the past in the prime class who've taken overall wins, and was they head on down in towards what will be a turn at number 8. Only one prime driver has ever taken an overall win, and that was Ilya Speaker in the GR86 Championship at Brands Hatch, and as they make the way upwards in towards turns 8 to 9, through the right into left they go, and onwards in towards the next lap, and Dibble holding on as Mino Ranieri and Clark side by side still as they come out of the final corner. 5 minutes complete, another 15 to go. Ranieri drops back to P4 now, and it looks like the Pro-Ams are all starting to pick on Ranieri one by one as the privateer in the number 84 still trying to hold on here as much as possible. It looks like he's clinging more and more onto these positions. They come down for a left-hander, and as they do, you can see there Landry and company all catched up. Edward Offred almost going to the grass there with the amount of understeer that the dirty air of the two cars in front of him invoked on the front end of the car. And meanwhile it is going to be a runway, and that is an Offred who finally finds the grass, and I think running so close to so many cars, when in trying to carry all their speed and the car not giving him enough. And the thing about these Formula 4 cars is, as we did here down in the paddock in the build up to this race, in the fact that these cars you have to drive them fast, but meanwhile hold up the fast fault there. So that's two cars around. That's Kevin Clark who gets the car off circuit and back on, and also that is David Adeyi who has gone around and the Moss hairpin, and what was looking to be a potential not just a prime win but also an overall win coming his way. Well, now he's got to do it the hard way with the fact he's got the company of Clark behind him. And I can imagine these two, well, I think they're going to be of the mindset we need to work together if we want to catch back up. But will they oblige each other, or will they impede each other? As meanwhile, Braden Mellin battling with Carl Peterson. Peterson in the blue machine, Mellin on the outside there in the orangey red machine as they make the way through. Mellin on the right, it's going to be Peterson on the left of your camera. Too wide they go in towards the S's. It's still too wide as they headed towards the second part at 9. And then Mellin commits into the inside and gets it done as he moves up into P60, always P3 in the M class. And why the class positions are important for the and primes, of course, is the fact there's bonus points available for the win in those classes, where it's 3 points, then for second it's 2, and third it is 1. But otherwise all points are based on overall finishing position. And well, speaking of overall, Matt Best right now giving his best overall here to push inside the top 5 as he makes the way on and through turn number 3 and down towards the 5 he goes once again. The Texas Speed Sim Racing driver right now, knowing there's pressure in front and there's pressure behind. He's got to try and beat Charles Halsey for the Pro and win here today as an off-red. Meanwhile, right on his heels they make their way through, and it's going to be Halsey, goes very deep, and then Offred follows off, and as a result they come together. Another bit of contact. That's Mark Senegal, who was leading the AM class, and he's fallen into the trap and making contact, and as they make the way up to speed once again, it's a dramatic turn. In fact, Tim Chong getting it wrong out of the Moss hairpin, goes around. And I can't believe my eyes here, ladies and gents, for the fact that Mark Senegal right now leading again in the AM class after what was an unfortunate incident. In fact, that's going to be Braden Mellin. Mellin's going to go around the outsider in the drag race all the way out towards the S's. Too wide they go, and as they do, Braden Melling is going to lead his first laps in the AM class here, at least lead one, as they come on through into the S's here. And I don't think the 2-1-3 try is going to quite believe his fortune right now, but of course there's a long way to go in this race. Can he hold on? As meanwhile into the pit comes Edwin Offred, also as Mark Senegal making his way into the pits, both of them with significant damage on the car, and when they've got the faster pair available, that's going to take some time even so out of their race. And therefore, meanwhile, up front, Tanner Dibble was broken away. You can see him off there on the right, your camera in the distance, and here's Ranieri holding off Landry now as they make the way on through Quebec corner once again. But as we look back from the rear of the number 84, well, of course, these two, we've seen them race together on a regular basis, and Ranieri is going to be passed up the inside there by Landry, or is he? As Landry commits, but Ranieri doesn't back off. They give each other space to breathe. Too wide all the way through the Moss hairpin, and it's still going on as Ranieri holds on to position for now. But as they power their way up through the gearbox, still Landry pulls out immediately, thinking he's got the better exit. He won't really have the toe to work with, so therefore this is all going to be through brute force acceleration as he tries to look around the outside. But Ranieri still there, and right now they're evenly matched on speed. As you can see, Dibble 3 seconds clear. This battle costing them so much time, but we love to see it as they head in towards turn number 8, and Ranieri defends the inside. Landry goes a little bit deep there in the 2 wide, and therefore cannot force it outside to inside, and Ranieri holds onto the P2 for now as they make the way towards another lap, going on to what is lap number 8 under race conditions. But as Ranieri runs a bit wide out wide, it's going to be Landry immediately back up the inside here as the Canadian driver on home soil looking to make the move happen. And as they come down through turn number 1, he gets it done, albeit for now, but Ranieri will look to come back again, and these cars very hard to break away. You need about 1.5 seconds gap at least in order to have a chance to break away, given how powerful the toe is. Well, Dibble's already got that, and now Landry's going to have to put the hard work in order to try and close that gap down through an average delta of pace. But meanwhile, the top 3 continue to rage on, and Matt Best, meanwhile, in P4 for Texas Speed Sim Racing. What has been a very difficult season so far. A lot of opportunities to come on the podium have gone at wanting for the Pram driver, but right now he's leading the Pram class in a very comfortable 2.7 second gap. Meanwhile, in the rear of the picture there, we do now look towards Nick Bader battling here with Stacey Bertrand, and Bertrand we talked about with the misfortune. Oh goodness me, there's some contact there as that is Bader who's turned around. Julian Jones follows on behind. I think that the door being shut slightly on Bader, who tried to sneak up the inside of the second apex of Boss, but Bertrand in the end said no, and I think was already turning into the apex by the time that Bader tried to get a wheel in there, and as a result, well, it will mean that Jones picks up the place, but it's all gone wrong for Nick Bader for the time being. Meanwhile, Landry versus Ranieri part 2, it's deja vu time here as they come over through the S's, but it's going to be Landry now as the defender, Ranieri the attacker, as they exit and go on to the second half of this race. But powering the way on down, Landry having to cut across there to go defensive, Ranieri absolutely keeping him honest every step of the way round as they make the way onto this turn of the lap. It is going to be turn number 2 now, where they'll have to settle the differences and calm it down for a brief moment, because 2 wide into turn 2. You can do it if you come out of one side by side, but beyond that you don't want to go 2 wide into the corner, because it costs you both so much time. You've got to be absolutely aware of each other, otherwise both drivers could end up going off the road very quickly indeed. But they power the way out of Quebec corner and up towards what will be turn number 5 now, in towards Moss once again with the GT Turtles driver in number 5, absolutely committed here to try and hold on to the position. It is going to be a nose to tail chase, as we do see all 3 of them make it out the corner. Best of course now, another party in this, he's player 3 in this battle as they make the way on down that back straight. But I think Best will just watch this and think, can he size up a potential opportunity to steal away an overall podium should Landry and Ranieri battle each other harder and harder as time goes on. And that's the thing for Best right now, he doesn't need to overtake any further. He will get extra points if he gets ahead of these drivers, but the thing is it worth the risk given the fact he's yet to bring home a class win this season? And will Matt Best is the only driver who can make that decision. But I get the feeling with a smart and cool head for Texas Speed Sim Racing, he'll go with the safe option first and then see what he can do towards the very end if an opportunity is presented his way. But meanwhile, further down the order, the fault we were saying about only before that incident did occur, what was turn number 5, Stacey Bertrand, the Rockefeller Esports orange driver. Well, we normally see Stacey all the way down the pit lane after what has been the opening couple of laps of the race, and that's not to be rude about them, but that has just been the misfortune they've had. But to see the American driver right now running P6 overall, a P3 in the prime class, well, it's absolutely wonderful to see, and I'm very happy for the 152 driver in the fact I can imagine the frustration that's probably built up over the first half of the season. We're just going wrong time and time again. Meanwhile, it's going so very right now, and from them, Braden Manning going slowly there in towards what was turn number 3. That's going to release Carl Peterson back into the AM lead, and Melling losing that lead after leading a good number of laps in the AM class. So the Canadian driver in home store having a taste of leading laps as an AM driver, and he'll be very happy with that, no doubt about it. And we can confirm off camera, ladies and gents, we do have one retirement from this race so far, and that's Roger Ganesh, who has retired after what is 2 laps turned. Otherwise, we've got multiple drivers a lap down. Out of 25 starters, 24 still in the running so far. There's still plenty of battling action to come as we look to Julian Jones fighting side by side with Adi. And well, as you can see, Jones here letting Adi go, it would seem, as the 2 IC West drivers will be Adi under the privateer badge, and given the fact that the team compositions only allow a certain number of drivers from each of the classes, so they've got Adi a little bit of the unknown element here as the 132 driver makes his way down towards turn 1. Well, I get the feeling that it's Jones who's probably on the radio to his teammate of Adi, and they're saying to each other, look, you're the faster driver here, David, get ahead, pull us along and take us to Bertrand at Ballard and eventually at Best, and keeping the fact that Best is 5 seconds clear Ballard, and Adi right now a further 2 seconds behind, and therefore they'll take every bit of pace advantage they can. And Adi has been one of the fastest drivers in this prime class all the way through qualifying and into this first race of the day. As they make the way down, and meanwhile, new fastest lap, the race previous lap was 16.68 as set by Ranieri. Meanwhile, Matt Best behind a 16.86 fastest prime lap of this race so far. So they're absolutely pushing each other. They've also got the benefit of the slipstream of each other as well. As we said earlier, the tow absolutely powerful around this circuit with a number of extended straight, and also those sweepers. We can almost be flat out. The speed you carry in towards these corners is sensational in these Formula 4s, and that's going to be Ranieri going around the outside there, making sure to tee it up by widening his approach to the apex. We'll cut it in, and will Landry not pin up the fight this time, respecting the fact there's still 6 minutes on the clock. And right now, Landry cognizant that Best is right there as Landry's going to go wide. Best follows him wide there, and will both drivers running the wheel checks of the leader, and in the end both carrying a bit too much speed as they come down through turn number 1. Well, meanwhile, Tanner Dibble in a lonely lead at the moment, albeit we say that 2.2 seconds. I think Dibble's had a mistake on a previous lap or two in the fact the DNA Motorsport driver has lost a lot of time. But then again, what also could be quite evidential in the fact that is, I do believe that Ranieri and Landry might be swapping places around right now in order to try and gain that lap time on Dibble. Now, you're probably wondering, well, what exactly is that about? Well, when you have got a leader who is out of slipstream range, one thing you can do around the circuit that's got multiple extended straights or curves where you're able to use the tow is what you do, and this is a age-old saying, which is the enemy of my enemy is my friend, in the fact that both of these 2 drivers want to battle each other as much as they want to battle Dibble, but the idea is going to be to battle for the lead of the race first and foremost, as off camera we're hearing that Nick Bader's had a major off and has had to be towed to the bits, and therefore down to P24. But the idea here is that with Ranieri getting ahead, what he may do is let Landry now go up the inside into the corner if he's close enough, otherwise Ranieri will dictate the pace in towards the corner. Because of the overspeed they pick up on the straights, that could be worth an average of 4 tenths of a second in lap time, and those 4 tenths versus Dibble's lap, we imagine if that equates to 2 tenths faster than Dibble on the whole, as Ranieri runs very wide there, then they'll naturally close up. But Ranieri pushed it to the limit, but he has gained 2 tenths on Dibble on that lap. So Ranieri absolutely attacking the Mosport circuit right now, but running wide there out of 1. It's going to put Landry on the outside. I think that brief truce between them has been broken, as being well as they roll the way through it. Looking further down the order, we've also got a battle between Bilman Da Costa and Mark Senegal. Senegal getting ahead down the Marion Andretti straight, and Da Costa going a little bit deeper for Bear Pipe. He's in always P4 in the class of the AMs, and P16 overall. He's having a good race, Da Costa, and a good haul of points potentially coming his way. But right now, Senegal runs very wide there and trims the grass, and Da Costa, I think I'll be wary of that and thinking, can he get back in there with some grass on the tyres of his rival? Well, from, oh my good lord, and what on earth has happened there? That is coming through Clayton's and Braden Melling, and was Carl Peterson, your AM leaders, are coming together into the corner from what I'm hearing in my ear. And well, as a result, Braden Melling drops down the order. Overall does Peterson as well, but that's Peterson crawling along there, and I get the feeling the damage that Peterson has picked up. Look at the front right tyre, it's not turning. In fact, it looks like the suspension has crumpled there, and Peterson's race is over. That's a tow to the pits. Braden Melling, meanwhile, takes the lead of the AM class, but I get the feeling this result may go to the stewards after the races, given the fact we've got 3.5 minutes left on the clock, and well, we didn't quite see what happened. I don't think we're going to be getting a replay of it, but the drama of it is the fact that the 2 of them had to come together, and Braden Melling right now in a car that's wounded. Well, perfect timing for Mark Senegal, who looks on behind, only 2 seconds back, and thinks now, well, he's got an opportunity to return to lead of the AM class that he absconded from, was the best part of 12 minutes ago. Was they make the way on down the Marion Andretti straight away. Bilman Da Costa a little bit further behind, well, he's 1.7 seconds back, but right now the Bearpo drives on course for a potential AM podium. It's been some time since we've seen Da Costa on the AM podium. Indeed, you'd have to go back to what was well of a race in the GR86 Championship to see that for the Bearpo driver, but I think he's going to be feeling absolutely positive that it is coming his way as Braden Mellon in the pit lane pulls on in, and that remains that Mark Senegal goes on to lead the AM class with 2.5 minutes to go, and what will equate to approximately this lap plus another 2, depending on the pace of our leaders. And Billman Da Costa now to P2, and he'll be chasing after Senegal. I get the feeling the pace is the favourite of Senegal, but right now the Sunday GT Turtles driver knows that he can't afford to drop a lap around here. But meanwhile, we look back to Landry versus Ranieri, and this fight getting absolutely fiery now as they head on through the S's once again, with Dibble 2.2 seconds clear, and it looks as though Landry and Ranieri, the gloves are off entirely, and these two fighting each other once more as they make the way on through the right-hander at turn number 10 as they charge their way down. New personal best of the race, 117.002 for Dibble, and Landry at 16.938, Ranieri at 17.0 at best at 16.998, and that goes to show you the toe there enabled them to gradually gain. Meanwhile, new fastest lap of the race, albeit assisted by the slipstream, but still that's a staggering lap. A 16.65 from David Adeyemi. That's the fastest overall, not just in what is the Pro-Am class. And right now, David Adeyemi flying out there, trying to find his way past Bertrand right in the late stage of this race. Bertrand trying to hold on for what will be at their first ever top 5 of the season, plus also their first ever podium of the season, and then of their Middle of the Pack Racing League career, given the fact they only joined the Middle of the Pack Racing League Series as of the Spring to F4 Championship. But right now, can Bertrand hold on, or will Adeyemi turn it into what could have been a dream start to the second half of the season? Bertrand still will be a great start, but not the dream start perhaps they were thinking it was going to be. We'll have to wait to see. As meanwhile, we can see here Ranieri versus Landry as they make the way on down the straightway, and onwards they'll go in towards the S. It's going to be Landry on the left, Ranieri on the right, and in here Ranieri goes around the outside and sweeps on through to take the lead of this battle for P2. Remember, we've got one more lap as Dibble makes his way out the final corner. Look at my commentary booth, and here they roar their way on by, ladies and gentlemen, as they come over the rise. Dibble leads, white flag waves, and then Ranieri versus Landry. Ranieri setting a new fastest lap race, a 16.629, an absolutely ferocious lap. Low fuel in the cars now as well, and those tyres fully grained in, and Matt Betts right on the back of this battle, as meanwhile Bertrand and Adeyemi. Bertrand's going to go a little bit wide there for Rockford Esports Orange through 1, but in towards 2 they go, and as they do, it's 2 wide into Clayton, but who is going to hold on? Well, Adeyemi's going to be very brave to go around the outside. That is extremely brave from Adeyemi. He's still going to be on the inside in towards Quebec. Bertrand turns in, Adeyemi's there as well. 2 wide they go, and as they do, Adeyemi's got the move set, and it will go his way as Bertrand falls behind, but remember, we've still got the back straight plus the S's to go, so Stacey Bertrand is not out of this yet, and the 152 driver could still potentially sweep back into this podium finish. Meanwhile, Matt Best has got ahead of Ranieri, who I believe was added off track coming out of what was the Moss Hair. Oh my good lord, Ranieri's gone round. There's a spin out of Moss Hairpin, and Ranieri's race has come to a curtailing literally on the final lap, and that car is not getting out of the grass. That's going to be a tow to the pits. But as I drive back the way through, there's Dibble, but meanwhile Best looking about the outside here, and Landry through the last couple of corners, and will it go the way of Best? Will it go the way of Landry? Was the checker flag gets ready to wave, ladies and gents. Well, they're 2 wide, but Tanner Dibble's the focus, the man in the moment in the mission, as the DNA Motorsports driver comes on through to take the win over in the Pro class in race 1. Landry in the end will just pit Best to P2 overall, but Matt Best will still take the 3rd place spot on the overall podium, and for Texas Speed Sim Racing will be your Pro-Am winner, his first win of the season in class. Adam J. Ballard comes on through and take P4 ahead of David Adeyemi. Stacey Bertrand, great brilliant drive to P6 overall, P4 in the Prime class there for Rockefeller Esports Orange. Is then Jones, Law and Offred and Halsey complete your top 10. Mark Senegal still out there, of course, waiting to see when he comes through, but meanwhile here is Edward Northred to take P9 in the 3rd place pro finisher ahead of what will be Charles Halsey across the line, P10 there, and the 100 driver being followed by closely it was Kevin Clark, and Mark Senegal comes on through to take that AM win ahead of Billman Da Costa, who had a spin, and that's on the final corner, and the Bearpo driver is stuck there and will toes the pits right at the end. That's disaster for Da Costa as Fernando Takahashi comes across the line in what is P13 in the end, and that's heartbreak for Bearpo, with the driver having a spin and being stuck there on the uphill run at 10, and Braden Mellon will come off road to take a surprise return to P2 in the AM class. I don't think he's going to quite believe when he gets out of that car, and Jared Kelly finishes P3 AM, starting from the very back of the grid. P3 in the AM class, P15 overall, 11 places gained ahead of Jason Lind, and all those will be your lead lap finishers, ladies and gentlemen, as this race comes to its conclusion. But as we do have 2 minutes before our next race, let's take you through those race results subject to any stewards inquiries, and here they are. So after an absolutely exciting first 20 minutes of the race of the day here in round number 5 of the MPRL Spring into F4 Championship for 2024, sponsored by PT Actuator, Tanner Dibble taking the overall and pro class win for DNA Motorsports. Head of Sunday GT Turtles, Jason and Landry, and then the third place spot on the overall podium being populated by Matt Best, your prime winner for Texas Speed Sim Racing. And J Ballard P4, a further 7 seconds behind there for Rockefeller Esports Purple. He won't mind that. And then David Adiyi completing the prime podium in the top 5 there, the privateer. As Stacey Petrano couldn't quite hold on to the prime podium, but the Rockefeller Esports orange driver finally finding their top 5 result, and indeed having an absolutely brilliant start to the second half of their campaign. Julian Jones P at 7 ahead of Aaron Lahr, with the ITC Western privateer drivers being followed up by Edwin Offray and Charles Holsey completing a top 10 for Rockefeller Esports Green. Kevin Clark P 11, best of the rest, ahead of Mark Senegal, your AM winner for Sunday GT Turtles, and then Fernando Takahashi P13, the privateer, ahead of Braden Mellin, second place, AM driver P14 overall. Jared Kelly, third place spot on the AM podium of Senegal, Melling and Kelly. And then Jason Lynn, Carvanieri, and Will Carvanieri being the first one drives a lap down after that late tow to the pits. Was Billman DeCoste there, P18, and completing your top 20 for the Bear Poke driver. That heartbreaking into his race was Jordan Butler and Tim Chong. From the DNA Motorsports and Slipstream Lost drivers, we did have Glenn Bratton ahead of Carl Peterson, with Nick Bader being the last of the one lap down finishers, and there was Jermaine Moran 2 laps down after that late retirement, and Roger Ganesh with the early retirement after what was 1 lap turn for Sunday GT Turtles P25. Well, with that, ladies and gents, that was your first race of the day. We've got one more race to come here at the Mosport circuit, or the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, as it's known in full. And as all of our drivers get set for the build up to that second race, we are only moments away. We get time for a quick sip of water, but race number 2 is coming up very shortly. And as our drivers make the way onto the grid, we can't walk you through the grid on the screen, but we can call out how they'll line up, and they'll line up as follows. Charles Holsey will be taking a reverse grid pole position at top 10 inversion ahead of Edwin Offray. Round number 2 will go to Aaron Lahr and Julian Jones, followed by Stacey Bertrand and David Adiyi. J Ballard and Matt Best line up on row number 4, with Jason Landry and Tanner Dibble completing at your top 10. From then, what we'll see is Kevin Clark and Mark Senegal on row number 6 ahead of Fernando Takahashi and Braden Mellin, with Jared Kelly and Jason Seelin on row number 8 ahead of Carl Ranieri and Bill DeCoste. Now it'll be Jordan Butler and Tim Chong completing a top 20 ahead of Glenn Bratton and Carl Peterson. Nick Bader and Jermaine Warren at line up on your penultimate row of the grid, and then starting on what will be at P25 will be Roger Ganesh, with Daniel McConnell, I do believe, at potentially joining us on what will be the final spot. But I think we might not be seeing McConnell in this race, ladies and gentlemen, but the grid is set, all drivers in position, and as they all line up, it is going to be Charles Holsey on pole. Will he be holding it on to become the end of his race? Without further ado, it's lights out and away we go, and Charles Holsey gets a good start, as meanwhile Edwin Offray are looking to make the move immediately as they come down in towards turn number 1, but as they do at last, sat behind there and not making any progress, and right now they are, as they were coming out the opening corner, as the drivers all the way through a bit further back. There's Dibble versus Landry, and Dibble already making his way up the inside to take 1 place as a run wide there, and that's going to be Kevin Clark taking a trip to the grass almost, but brings him back on the circuit. Excuse me, just in time as me. Oh my good lord, and there's been a major bit of contact there. Car to the barrier, we're trying to discern who that is. That is Tim Chong. Also Nick Bader, Braden Menning's been caught up in that, I do believe, unless I'm very much mistaken. In fact, no, that was Jared Kelly being caught up in that, and then just in front, that's Nick Bader. And apologies there, Braden Menning not caught up in that one. The 176 with a similar colour scheme to it in this lighting, but multiple drivers coming together, and Jason Lynn and Tim Chong both having to be towed to the pits. But meanwhile, after all that, and the sun shines on the back section of the circuit, where right now Charles Holsey under major pressure for the lead, with Edwin Offray looking to scoop his way around the outside as they roar their way on past the halfway point in the Marion straightway, and as they head in towards what will be at turn number 8 for the first time in this second race of the day. It's an Offray sweeps around the outside, and the pro driver, the pro privateer, takes the lead as they make the way onto what will be at lap number 2. But as they do, it's a long line of cars, and it is led by another Edwin Offray, who leads by only what is 2 attempts, if that. Charles obviously looks to move back into turn 1, and will hold the phone here, ladies and gentlemen, as it's going to be Halsey who makes that move. A lovely return move up the inside there through 1. So Halsey now leads the prime leader and overall ahead of the pro leader, Edward Offred. Then it's Lar, followed by Jones, then Adayi, then Bertrand, followed by Dibble, then Best, followed by Ballard, and then Landry completes your top 10 overall with your AM leader, Braden Melling in P12. And right now, Melling just keeping his cool and carried on here as we see Halsey goes wide, the car gets pulled wide, and on top of that as well, a trip wide in the rear of the picture for David Adayi. Bertrand comes on through, and so does Dibble, and Dibble very gradually making his way up the order right now and making it an inevitability that he's going to cut his way through. Meanwhile, we see Aaron Ballard there looking for a move up the inside of Fernando Takahashi, but the Brazilian driver not backing out as they made their way in towards the boss hairpin. I think that was all about Ballard just simply trying to get in a position to get under the skin of Takahashi, but not giving him whatsoever as a long line of cars make the way on down. But we jump aboard here with Calloway, who's the 13th car in this long pack, and indeed right now the top 14 separated by only 4 seconds. He gets very close there on the rear of Wes Bennett's car, looking to go up the inside here in towards the S's, and going to do exactly that as they sweep their way through. But as they do, you can see Bennett going a little bit deep, but covering off what is Jordan Butler, who wants to also come through as all the drivers come charging in towards the right hander of turn at number 10 at White. But as they do, Ranieri cements that position, and now it's goes Milling and Butler as a DNA Motorsports driver looking for the move up the inside. 2 wide there goes both Chong and also lead the pit lane a lap down behind the lead pack, and that's going to be a painful lap down, or in fact 2 laps down there as they charge away on around, but still they're back to the racing. And Kevin Clark meanwhile side by side with Mark Senegal as he battles his way past the second place AM driver does what is the number going to be the 189 prime. But as they make the way on through, it does look as though in fact the Senegal's got back ahead of Clark, so let's correct ourselves there as the drivers charge away in towards what we lost quarter. Stacey Bertrand meanwhile, we did see some smoke going up there on the exit of turn number 2, and that was Bertrand going around on 2 in towards 3, and Bertrand's absolutely brilliant start to the day comes to a crashing halt in the second half of the day as meanwhile drivers make the way down Moss once more. But as they charge the way on down here, well right now it is going to be side by side between Landry and Takahashi as Takahashi backs off there and respects the fact they don't want to lose the leaders, and the leaders you can see the top 3 have already started to break away with a 2-second gap as Dibble meanwhile carving his way up the inside of Best here. It's the Dino Motorsports car versus the Texas Speed Sim Racing machine, but Dibble gets hit by nose in towards the second part of the S's, scoops his way around the outside, and Dibble gains another place and up into P4. He starts in P10 of course and made the winning race up wide, looking to make it back-to-back wins. Fastest lap of the race goes to the hands of Aaron Lara, 17.12, nobody into the 16s as of yet. Drives make the way down through turn number 1. We can see the top 3 making the way through the picture. Meanwhile, multiple drives running wide there. That's Ranieri, Ballard and Butler all exploring track limits and then some. As meanwhile, Butler on the inside there of what will be Ballard, albeit Ballard holding on to the outside to inside run is the Rockefeller Esports purple driver. And right now, Ballard showing he's not just there to make up the numbers. Brilliant defensive work there from Adam J. Ballard, and therefore Braden Mellin now, the AM leader, will find himself forced right into this battle. And where it's going to be Butler who's going to have to try and keep what will be the leading AM driver at bay. And Mellin, of course, does have Mark Senegal what is right on his heels there as they head in towards Boss, and it could not be closer between the midfield of our drivers. They make the way on out to Boss, but it's going to be a run from Butler versus what will be Ballard this time. Does get ahead, Ballard tucks back in, and nobody wants to lose the toe of the cars in front, so I think everybody playing the game of to me to you, and therefore looking for opportunities. But speaking of those opportunities, they come quickly, and Fernando Takahashi under pressure from Charles Halsey as they head side by side. That's going to be Best meanwhile up the inside of Dibble, in fact going around the outside of Dibble. I should correct myself, in towards turn number 8 and 9, and Best takes P4 back, but meanwhile you can see Dibble falls back into formation as they make the way out of the corners and run wide there from what was, I believe that was Best, who decided to take a little bit more track width with him. And as they come down in towards turn number 1, still side by side between Ranieri and Halsey. Absolutely brilliant racing action wherever you look at this race so far, ladies and gentlemen. We love to see it in these Formula 4s, and our drivers absolutely giving it their all. And will they make the way on down through turn number 2? Well, those undulations there absolutely unforgiving, but 4 of our drivers nailing it time and time again. And keep in mind, we're only 6 minutes into what is this 20-minute race. We've still got plenty to come in our feature of today. And as the drivers make the way onwards towards what is Moss once more. Well, let's take a look at our leaders. And this is Edward offering your pro and overall leaders, still ahead of the 2 primes of Lar and Jones, but Lar and Jones not letting an off-red just have his way and break away as they make their way up towards what will be the S's. Once again, you can see that whilst it's a 2.5 second gap to the rest of the field, this top 3 separated by only 7 attempts, if that, and keeping each other absolutely honest. And right now, an off-red could be, of course, for what would be his first ever win in this season. But on top of that, I do believe his first ever overall win in a Middle of the Pack Racing League Series, although my mind is a little bit foggy. I think he may have picked up a win in the TCR Series all the way back in 2022, the more I think about it. And, well, if he is in the chat, he can correct me there. But as number 99 driver makes his way across the line, if it is going to be his first win, this will be an absolutely a standard win, given the fact he's got the pressure of two primes who are absolutely glued to his wheels as they make their way in towards turn 2. But as they do, we've had a run right from Jason Landry, with that Landry falling back now to go defensive versus Takahashi now in through at Clayton's and up towards Quebec. You can see Takahashi not giving in and looking to the inside here. It's going to be a dive to the inside for Takahashi. To be fair, one wheel alongside already, so therefore not too much of a dive as I'm forcing this move to happen, whether you like it or not, Jason. But right now, I think Jason's going to be responding by saying to Fernando, well, as much as you want to go for it, I'm going to go for it too. And as they head in towards what is turn number 5, coming up through the right hand, and meanwhile Aaron Law has taken a place off of what is Edward Offred. In fact, Offred running wide out of Moss and losing 2 places at the price of 1 error as they make the way on down. I can see GT Eddie there in the Twitch chat when Edward Offred corrected us in the fact taking the TCR Championship in the AM division. And well, I did definitely think there was some wins already for Edward Offred, but this will be potentially, if he can pull it off, his first overall win in this championship season. It's been some time since we've seen what is an Offred on the top step of the podium, but Law and Jones right now, they'll want it just as much to make themselves what would be the second ever prime driver to take an overall win in the Middle of the Pack Racing League Series. As we said earlier, the only other name to have done that would have been Ilias Speaker at Brands Hatch in what was our previous season of GR86 racing. So therefore, plenty still to come as the drivers make the way on down. We're not even at the halfway point, and as they do, we'll further drive further down the order in the fact that Phil DaCosta's had a major off. But right now, our top 15 separated by only 7 seconds in total, and will absolutely staggering to think that they've been pushing this hard so far and nobody has really been able to break away in either that top 3. They're only 2.5 seconds away, if that, from where's the rest of this top 15 pack, and therefore it would only take a bit more battling to bring them right to the fight. As you can see at the rear of the picture there, Bill DaCosta, Stacey trying to lap down in P20, also looking to try to hustle the way up to the back of this pack to try to unlap themselves as much as they can. But the drivers made the way. Oh, goodness me, that's an error, that's Ballard. Adam J. Ballard's got around on Moss. I think that's of his own volition in the Rockefeller Esports purple machine, and the 129 driver falls. But meanwhile, who is the lead going to fall to as they make the way on up towards what will be at the S's? There they go, side by side further down the order for what is Best versus Adeyiyi. We'll come back to that shortly, but Lar will sweep his way through. Meanwhile, Adeyiyi is still side by side with Best. A little bit of wheel rubbing between the two of them there as they briefly had a knock, but in the end, the touch doesn't cause any drama. And indeed, Adeyiyi just manages to get through, and well, as we ride aboard and look back from the rear of the 132, a long line of very hungry cars behind him as they make the way towards turn number 1 once more. Through the long right hand they go, and as they do, Adeyiyi right now knowing there's still a long way going to this race, and it is completely back and forth every lap. And well, can he break away? Can he find a way to get Best and Dibble to fight each other? And really, that's what he's got to try and do now. He wants to buy himself some breather. You can see the scramble there. Water Takahashi going defensive versus Halsey. Halsey trying to go around the outside of Takahashi into the back corner, but there's no way through as they now make the way down through the curve of 4 and in towards Moss Hairpin for now the 8th time of asking. But you can see that as well. Dibble going defensive with Landry hot on his heels, and also then again Takahashi and Halsey both taking was that inside line into the braking zone, completely taking themselves off race line. But to be fair, they're pushing each other so hard, and meanwhile, right at the back of this, Braden Melling and Mark Senegal, they're falling a bit further away from what is that lead pack as we head into the second half of the race now, and therefore Melling could be looking a little bit more vulnerable here, given the gap between him and Jordan Butler is 1.8 seconds, and that toe now is not going to be anywhere near as available compared to how it was earlier. As they head in towards the corner, here comes Senegal looking up the inside, but Melling goes a little bit late to the brakes on that outside line. Kevin Clark there as well, looking to try and make an attack for overall position. The Pro-Am P7 driver, not batting with these AMs per se in class, but definitely eager to take some more points in this round of racing as they make their way down towards turn number 1. But as they do, in terms of changes, we have had Adeyiyi get ahead of Best. We've got 2 run wides, 4 run wides there for what was Warren, well, not just Warren, but also Dibble at Butler. And well, all of our drivers are absolutely pushing it to the limit right now, and therefore any moment I imagine you could really see this reach crescendo. But meanwhile, it's going to be Takahashi down the inside. He goes all in for it. It's a lovely move from Fernando Takahashi versus Tanner Dibble. They're still too wide as the double zero makes way free. You see the 100 of Halsey trying to find a way to make it 3 wide into turn 4, and decides immediately to back out when they realise where they are. Still trying to look up the inside. There's Halsey, can't find it. Ranieri's going to go around the outside as they come through. But meanwhile, an error there for Dibble, and Dibble goes round the winner of race number 1, making the mistake. Well, that's Mark Senegal who's gone round as well, and well, it's going to be disaster for both of them there, as Mark Senegal having the spin, and after what was that great result in the first race of the day, it's all gone so very wrong for both of those drivers, and now they've got to try and pick the pieces back up as soon as possible. But meanwhile, Ranieri and Halsey, they're not done yet, and Ranieri, after sweeping his way around the outside in towards the boss hairpin, with Halsey trying to find a way to make it 3 wide versus rivals down into the hairpin. Well, Ranieri will take that PA, and as he now looks to try and break away, going hunting after Takahashi, we can imagine he's going to be up against one of the most stubborn drivers out there, and stubborn for good reason, and the fact that if you're ever looking for the embodiment on iRacing of what is Ayrton Senna, indeed a fellow Brazilian driver, I'd say you've got the embodiment in terms of defensive driver there of Vlada Takahashi, and well, we mean that as a compliment in the fact that 1, 2, 3 driver, he may not be the fastest out there, but my goodness, when he sinks his teeth into a position, he is not going to give it up. And as he makes his way on throughout the long right hand of Quebec, meanwhile Best and Landry, they're fighting over P5 in the meantime as they come down in towards turn number 4, and these two are gradually letting Adi break away. Is now it's almost a second away from them as Best, I think, just trying to get the message through to Landry, which is don't fight me, we've got to chase it after the 1-3-2 in front, otherwise it's going to disappear. I don't think Landry's listening, as meanwhile making his way up through the corner is that's not Braden Mellin, that's Jordan Butler who's gone around. Butler's had a spin at the hairpin, much like Tanner did only moments ago for DNA Motorsports. It's a nightmare middle portion of this race, and the fact that both of the drivers have had the same mistake at the same corner, almost back-to-back laps, and therefore they fall down to P12 and P13 respectively, and they have got a very eager Stacey Bertrand trying to go around the outside to unlap themselves as they make their way in towards what is turn number 8. But as they do, meanwhile, we look from our drivers battling to be inside the top 10 to a bit further afield, and this is Aaron Lahr, your leader now. So the new fastest lap of the race sets at 16.777, and more lucky numbers there potentially for Adeyi, who set that lap, and an absolutely staggering lap indeed, one of a very limited number of what is 16s that have been recorded by drivers. Aaron Lahr also holding on to that, Takahashi, Charles Halsey, to name the 4 drivers who have set 16s, and also Jason Landry making a 5th driver in fact, as they make their way on through and onwards they'll go. Well, Lahr right now with Jones close behind, and Onofre there in at the toe as they make the way over the crest and down. Well, Lahr will know there's still a little way to go yet. 6.5 minutes on the board, and those tyres will gradually be wearing down, albeit these tyres can go for quite some time. So therefore the fuel tank, as the fuel comes out the car, this car's now going to start to get even lighter on the rear. Indeed, when they start these races, the fuel tank being behind the driver, it does feel as though this car's a little bit heavy on the rear, and therefore you haven't just got the downforce over the rear of the car, but you've got the weight of the fuel. But as that fuel comes out, the rear becomes even more lively, and it encourages you to drive even faster to get the better rear downforce effect of that rear wing. As they make their way through turn 8 in towards line. Well, right now Jones are thinking about a potential move initially, can't find it, and Nofre still 2 turns behind, and Adeyi onto the back of this battle, so it's now a 4-way fight for the overall win and also to be on the overall podium. And the irony of this being the fact this is the first time I think we've ever seen in the MPRL what is 3 primes and a pro fighting to be on the podium, and could we even see for the first time in the series history perhaps an all-prime overall podium? Well, that's not to belittle Edwin Offer at all, but such is the situation he finds himself in right now, as Lahr starts to go a little bit defensive there into Quebec, thinks better of it before committing to the line, but you can tell that Lahr is feeling the pressure, as meanwhile Landry, they're going to try and also get into that battle, but the gap is 1.5 seconds. He'll be getting a distance sniff of the toe, but not strong enough to reel him in naturally. He's got to push a little bit harder here as the Canadian driver, hope the drivers in front battle each other to shorten the deficit. As always right now, it may be that he's just out of reach with that battle all the way to the end, as we are Best had a bit of a poor run, one's a little bit deep out the second apex of Boss, and that's going to cost him time. But as they make the way down, well, now Landry in 1.2 seconds, but again the triple toe that he proves very strong as they head inwards towards what will be the second half of the Mario Andretti straightway. We can see it's 2x2 formation here, but it's not Noah's Ark, it's Formula 4s, and as they head in towards the corner of what is the start of the S's, Lahr defends there versus Jones. Adi up into P3, drag races his way past Onofre, and the top 3 now overall is all prime drivers as they make the way on to what will be lap number 13. 5 minutes left on the clock as they charge onwards, and as they do, Onofre now P4 with Landry only 1.1 seconds behind, and Landry is closing quickly on this battle. He is bringing that gap down, as from them we do see a bit further back Charles Halsey holding on to P8 still, and we're trying to bring down Fernando Takahashi, but also cognizant of the fact he's got Carl Ranieri right behind him as the trio make the way on through the left-hander through Clayton's, and there's Ranieri looking up the inside trying to go for the move there. Halsey turns in, Ranieri squeezes the apex, has to mount jump the curb there, and already won't be too pleased about that one. I think he'll feel as though he earned the right to have the full width of the run through the corner, but obviously we disagree with that one as he turned in, and therefore they stay as they were. But as they make the way on up the hill, here is your AM leader right now, and a very lonely AM leader by 21 seconds of Braden Melling, with what is every other driver in the AM class having a spin or some difficulty. But right now the 213 driver could be, of course, to bring home his first ever his AM win, I should say, and also an overall top 10 if it all continues to come his way, because you can see there in the rear of the picture Tanner Dibble, who is closing little by little, is having to battle with Kevin Clark, Adam J. Ballard, and also what is there at the back of the group, I do believe the lap down car of Stacey Bertrand, and as they make the way onwards right now, it is going to be Clark who looks to move on one side, Dibble on in the middle, and meanwhile it's going to be Ballard looking around the outside, and in the end the Huss Privateer is going to be absolutely leapfrogged by Ballard, who makes the move, or does he? As Clark now comes back in, very firm on the push into the inside of White's corner, but Clark can't quite make the move stick, and therefore Ballard does take P12 and what is P7 in the prime class as they head on to another lap. As they come on down from them, and meanwhile we look back up towards your leaders, and here they are, the long line of cars. As off camera I'm hearing that Jermaine Warren has had to be towed to the pits, and this now is Lar, Jones, Adi, Onofre, Landry and Best. The top six are separated by what is only 1.5 seconds as they all come on down, and it's absolutely brilliant to see here as they all continue to run extremely close to each other. We ride on board what is, and he knows, I do believe, very shortly of Landry's car, and here it is, ladies and gentlemen, as he makes his way on up towards what will be at turn number 8, and as he charges one down right now, you can see how low these cars are onto the tarmac, but he's got the tow there, and everybody thinking about going battling or whether to stay at the slipstream. You can see on the outside, that is going to be Jones, who's going to in at the end, Adi, but with that, Adi gets ahead, sweeping it on through around the outside, and Jones backing off there, and well, as Landry gets a bit closer to the rear of an off-race car, through left and into the right they go, but in the end no change at the moment, and the top three still being led by what is all prime drivers. It's Lar, Adi and Jones, who right now we look at to try and make what will be a history in the MPRL series. They make the way on to what will be the penultimate lap here at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park circuit in round 5 of the championship, and as they roar the way on through what is a Clayton's corner right now, no change as they just weave and bob. You can see everybody there thinking about moves, but nobody wanted to commit to 1-9. They'll break this pack up, and they don't want to be out of this pack until the final lap, and that is where you will suddenly see the tempers flare and the elbows come out to their maximum as they make the way over the crest and down, but in towards turn number 5 and onto those brakes, and as they make the way up through the right-hander, it is Lar right now who needs the best possible exit. In fact, he's got no toe to work with. All he's got is his exit and the ability to try and dodge from side to side to break the toe to a degree, but of course he can't make a double move. He'll have to pick the right time in order to make that move as they head up towards the S's, but already the gap, it started at 3 tenths and Adi brings it down to 2 tenths. They're only now halfway down the straight, and as he gets closer, Adi will build up an even bigger toe. Lar goes defensive, and he looks around the outside. They go too wide. Meanwhile, behind them, you can see there Jones keeping off Red Bayers, and Offred's got Landry trying to go around the outside into the second part of the S's. In towards Whites he goes, and Landry will make the move there as they head on to the final lap, but also there's Best looking up the inside, but decides better of it as they cover down over the rise, and meanwhile further battling down here, and I believe we've had Tanner, oh my goodness, Tanner Dibble has gone round, and I believe has been involved in an altercation with Adam Ballard. The two of them had to come in together, but Dibble's race has seen him lose his rear wing, and suddenly Braden Melling, dodging all the carnage around him, has moved up into P8, and Kevin Clark is suddenly back up into P9. It's absolutely getting crazy out there as this race comes towards its conclusion, but meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to stay with the leaders. I believe Fernando Takahashi may have also been involved in an incident of some description recently, perhaps also involved in that altercation, but the clock strikes 20 minutes. This is your final lap, and it's Aaron Ives still leads with what is these cars behind. Matt Best, meanwhile, has fallen off the back of this pack. I believe he's had a bit of an error coming in towards the hairpin, and as they make the way down, Lar right now holding on, but it's going to be Adi there with him. Adi doesn't look close enough this time compared to the previous lap, or does he? In fact, he is practically the same distance as they make the way in towards the S's. He's going to look around the outside. He's going to fully go all in on this. Lar right now defends, and Adi goes a little bit deep, and therefore Lar now has only got 2 corners between him and his first victory of the season. And as he makes way through the final corner, he's going to make history, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to become the second ever Prime to take an overall win, and it's an all-Prime overall podium as it's Lar who wins over Adi and Jones, and then your winning pro driver will be P4 overall for for Jason Landry ahead of Edwin Offray. Matt Best comes through to take P6 with Calloway crossing the line, P7 in the end, and then it will be Braden Melling who takes his first AM win of the season and in what is his MPRL career, the privateer earning the AM win in absolutely cool and collected start, and a huge haul points ahead of Kevin Clark and Jordan Butler. P11 will go to Adam J. Ballard for Rockefeller Esports Purple as he crosses the line, and then it will be Billman DaCosta who takes the runner-up AM spot and what will be his first AM podium of the season for the Bear Pope team. A brilliant drive there for the 283. Martin will finish his third place spot on the AM podium, keeping that consistency of podiums together, albeit in a very misfortunate race. And then Fernando Takahashi and what will be ahead of Carl Peterson and Nick Bader, and Tanner Dibble will be your last finisher on what will be at the lead lap. Able to get the car in the pits, get it repaired and get it back out there just in time before the lead pack came through, and we're in at the end for the DNA Motorsports driver. It wasn't to be the perfect day today, but of course he did take the win in what was the first race. But there he comes across the line, ladies and gentlemen, and what an end to this race as Aaron Law makes his way around through that cool down lap. He'll be absolutely ecstatic with that result, and it's not just what is a class win in the Prime class, it's also an overall win, and that is going to be worth 53 points in this second race. And given the fact that on a maximum race day, in theory for a prime driver, you can earn what is a grand total, if you would say overall pole, plus also the overall win and the fastest lap in both races, where you could take what would be, if my maths is correct, the best region of what would be 109 points. Will are absolutely taking the lion's share of the points here today as he brings it in to the pit lane. But as he does so, let's take you through those race results subject to any stewards inquiries, and here they are. So an incredible and thrilling end to round number 5 of the Middle of the Pack Racing League Spring into F4 Championship for 2024, brought to you on iRacing, sponsored by PT Actuator. When our second race of the day in the feature sprint race, we saw Aaron Law take the win, the privateer, ahead of David Adiyi, and then Julian Jones completing your overall podium for ITD West. But of course, it wasn't just the overall podium, it was also an all-prime podium, and congratulations to the 3 drivers of Aaron Law, David Adiyi, and Julian Jones for making MPRL history. It's the first time we've ever seen what is a podium overall that has been dedicated to drivers that are not in the pro class. Jason Landry, meanwhile, in the score of pros, taking P4 for the pro win for Sunday GT Turtles, head of Edwin Noffre, the privateer. Unfortunate not be able to hold off Landry to the line, but still gave it his all, and a brilliant effort in the number 99 machine, the privateer for AlphaTauri Honda. And then we see Matt Best, P6 there for Texas Speed at Sim Racing. It all fell apart on the final lap and wasn't quite able to stay in the hunt for that top 5. Braden Melling taking a P7 there, the AM winner, his first AM win of the season, and the Canadian driver will be absolutely ecstatic about that. Didn't put a single foot wrong in the second race of the day, and following was his second place spot on the AM podium in race number 1. That is going to be a great haul and gets his championship campaign absolutely revitalised. Head of the privateer Kevin Clark, and there was DNA Motorsports' Jordan Butler and Adam J. Ballard who completed what was your top 10. Of course, special mention to Jordan Butler who completed the pro podium of Landry and Offray and Butler, and then coming to P11. As we can see, Billman DaCosta runner-up in the AM class ahead for boys Bear Pope, head of Sunday GT Turtles, Mark Senegal completed the AM podium of Melling, DaCosta and Senegal. Carl Ranieri, P13, ahead of Fernando Takahashi, who's brilliant defending in the end, was undermined with a late incident going into the S between himself and a couple of other drivers, as we're to understand it, with Carl Peterson at P15 for Caboose Crew, ahead of Nick Bader, and then it was Tanner Dibble who was your last lead lap finisher for DNA Motorsports. A lap down in the end to Stacey Petrana for Rockefeller Esports Orange after having an absolutely brilliant first race of the day. Misfortune at finding their way to the American driver once again in the second race of the day, and we're hoping we don't see that occur repetitively over the second half of the season. We want to see Stacey Bertrand up there enjoying the batting like everybody else, but at least they did have a great taste in race number 1 here, and that was lovely to see. Glenn Bratton also a lap down there, P19, ahead of 2 laps down Charles Halsey, and we also saw 2 laps down for Tim Chong, P21 there for Slipstream Sloths, ahead of 3 laps down Roger Ganesh, 4 laps down to Jared Kelly, and Jermaine Warren reclassified as your last finisher of this race, having finished 5 laps down, but within 5 laps of the overall winner, the privateer, and Jason in, your sole retiree and non-finisher, 14 laps down, retiring after what was 2 laps turned. Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our racing here at the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and well, what a lovely circuit and a lovely pair of races to kick off the second half of the season. And well, with that, it does mean it is now time for us to wrap up. Thank you very much for watching, and if you have enjoyed today's show, and perhaps you're sat there right now wanting to know more about the Middle of the Pack Racing League community and how you could be on the grid, not necessarily for this series, but for upcoming series later on in the year where we will be transitioning, I do believe, into the LMP3s. If you're not a huge Formula 4 fan and don't want to get out there immediately, or at least get onto the grid to start to whet your appetite, well, for all that and more, well, we definitely recommend you join the MPRL Discord invite link available on screen. But if you don't want to go to the Discord, perhaps you're not feeling too sociable, then of course you can go to social media, and you can follow us on Twitter, and that's at twitter.com/MOP Racing. We can stay up to date with all the latest announcements regarding Middle of the Pack Racing League series and also the trials and tribulations of the official MOP racing teams. We'd also like to take a big moment to say a big thank you to our sponsor, and that is none other than PT Actuator. And if you are looking for the pinnacle of racing and flight simulation experiences, PT Actuator are your go-to brand. With over a decade of experience at the forefront of actuator-based motion systems, PT Actuator's huge range of premium quality products are purpose-built to ensure you can experience the gold standard when simulating motion in your simulator. Whether you're looking for a simple one-dimensional freedom system or want to maximize your immersion for a six-dimensional freedom system, PT Actuator have got you covered. To find out more about their product range, do head to their website, and that of course is pt-actuator.com today to find out all about their product range. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, attention now turns to round number 6 in the championship, and well, it's going to be a return to the United States of America, and we'll be heading to the state of Indiana for the one and only Indianapolis Grand Prix circuit at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and all the racing action will occur as of what will be Wednesday the 22nd of May, but we'll be bringing it to you as if it were live from circuit side on Sunday the 26th of May 2024. Save the date, because we have had an absolutely unpredictable opener to what is the Road Racer Cup, and how will it continue at Indianapolis. Well, until then, ladies and gentlemen, we have been the Middle of the Pack Racing League. I've been your host and commentator, Paul TX141 Walsh, also known as Britain a Spit, depending on what media you follow me on. Until next time, remember to stay safe, stay well, stay smiling, but most importantly, remember to stay on track. Good night.